You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today and we have another show lineup for y'all. Man, what does it take to build a life of purpose, resilience, and service? Well, we have a special guest today that's going to tell us all about that. He's not just someone that has a great media company, a great podcast show, but he has a great life story. When it comes to experience, when it comes to building something that is worth value, he's going to give you guys some good stuff because you're going to want to watch this and share with your friends and family. So first and foremost, we're talking to the one, Mr. Yu. I just want to say thanks for you being on the show today, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm already excited. But the intro was like, it was short. It was hard hitting, man. I like it already.
Let's go. It goes super long. And I see the bios. Like, there's no way I can cover this in about 5 minutes. So let me just cut to the chase. But for our audience, kind of tell us a little bit about your story. You're author of the book, The Heart of a Stepfather, but it's so much detail. I just want to give you the honor to kind of just illustrate that for our audience.
It is. Every time I get a chance to be on an awesome show like yours, man, it's hard to answer that question. Been through so much stuff, man. It's a lot of crazy, a lot of highs and lows. I consider myself a jack of all trades and I wear many hats, but I've been through a lot of different things. I think that story that I highlighted in the book, it was awesome because it was my first, probably my first opportunity to really kind of really operate in faith because I didn't know what I was doing. When it came to marriage, fathering 3 beautiful daughters, I had no clue what I was doing. I had no context for that. So I was essentially thrown right into the fire, quite literally. And I came out not smelling like smoke. So I thank God for that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, besides the authoring, our podcast work keeps me very busy. I'm guesting and hosting with shows like this. And we had an awesome community doing that. I'm doing co-directing a nonprofit with my wife. Children's advocacy, children awareness called Save the Children SC. So we got our hands full. I'm still teaching and still ministering, ministry and outside of that, stay busy, man. More books are coming out soon. The podcast has grown. It's causing me to be stretched beyond my original plan for it. So there's a lot going on, man. Even some public speaking might be coming up soon. So it's a lot, but I'm just trying to just walk in purpose, man. What I'm telling other folks to do. And my coaching business, but I'm getting ready to relaunch. So, like I said, just a lot happening, man. But I'm trying to stay in purpose and teach that.
And for our audience, what he mentioned being co-founder of Save the Children SC, that nonprofit that him and his wife is doing is about financial literacy and mentorship and community support, which I think is awesome. But you also are a minister. So you really, I don't know how you find time in the day to do all the other things you do, but it leads up to my next question, man. You live so many different lives as far as being a chef, minister, and also author, business coach, and podcaster. What's the common thread that ties all these roles together for you?
Great question, man. The common thread that kind of ties it all together. I can't say it's not my faith. Some shows don't want to hear that, but honestly, my faith is what kind of ties it all together. And if I'm not coaching somebody regarding purpose and helping them try to locate that, I'm still seeking it myself in a lot of ways. I want to make sure that I'm in the right path too. So I can't teach what I don't know myself, which would be weird. So that's what kind of ties it all together. All the things that I've done, they've been to try to encourage and inspire people to branch out and build on the incredible life that they have and do some great things, even in their small circle of influence. So it's really all I'm trying to accomplish. I know I do a lot of stuff and I don't really know how I find the time. A calendar helps, being organized, learning when to say no to things and recognizing what's important. When family had to be a priority, of course, making sure I prioritize my time in meditation and reading and studying and stuff. So those things, every day is a long day for the most part, but I'll never complain. because what's the alternative? Me not having any days at all, right? So I'll pick this. This is fine.
No, it'll be very quiet because one thing I learned building this show since 2017 is that it takes not just effort, it takes the ability to adapt, because if you're not able to flow with what is thrown at you, then you won't be able to make progress. So that kind of goes to my next question in regards to the book that we kind of teased earlier, The Heart of the Stepfather. This book, you were inspired to write this, obviously, and it tends to obviously show blending families. So what was the goal that you wanted to bring across for readers?
Yeah. One thing, great question, man. One thing I always want to tell folks is that, I consider myself an introvert, so my face and my name on stuff, that's never gonna be never be my goal. I always want the opposite. I want to be in the back in the shadows. I'm good with that. I know it's not my reality, but that's what I always shoot for. So writing that book, it was God inspired. I can't put it any other way. I wrote the book in 6 weeks, 194 pages of the book in 6 weeks. I put my whole life out there. Like I said, introverts don't do that kind of stuff. They are averse to doing something like that. I did that. I put every story that I thought was relevant, that would help people who are dealing with what I was dealing with. Because blended families, movies might make it look good sometimes, but it's tough. It's hard. Sometimes it's like a battle between two governments. It's really hard to explain it, but it's never a simple situation to try to bring order to where there was chaos and vice versa. So it's really weird, but I wrote the book because I really want people to know that, you're not by yourself. I felt alone when I wrote the book, but I said, there's gotta be other folks that were really feeling this and understand and can relate. And I got so much awesome feedback from people who were in the same spot, did something differently than I did, had some great advice for me. Some learned from what I did and made some adjustments, and it worked out well for them. The only tragic part is that you can't really find the book now. You might find it on Amazon, but it's limited now because of some issue with the company. But we are working on doing a revision of the book and bringing it back out hopefully really, really soon. So we're excited about that. No name and title just yet, but we're excited about getting that story back out because the initial reaction was powerful. People were saying, even on Apple Podcast, they were saying, "Man, this story is incredible. This is and I never seen a book about this kind of thing before." So I was like, okay, it kind of validated what I was doing. Because I wrote the book, but I'm like, is anybody going to care beside me? For me, writing was therapy. So writing it down, having it in print, it helped me just by, now I feel better getting this off my chest. I didn't think that I would really want to read it, to be honest. I didn't think anybody cared. I got so many messages and responses from folks who were like, wow, this is an incredible story, man. How do you survive this? I want to keep reading, and they so much awesome feedback. So that's kind of the engine that kind of drives this effort of writing that book and coming out with a revision soon and keeping that going, because people are still in the struggle when it comes to blended families and stepfatherhood and what have you. So there's still more work to be done. There's still more help to be given. So I'm excited about being a part of that, a small part anyways.
Once again, listening and watching us on Refocus Radio and talking to our guest today, Mr. Yu. Check out his podcast. They Call Me Mista Yu on Buzzsprout. You can go. All the notes will be in the show description. But, man, you have even more stories. That's why I gave the intro so short in the introduction, because you also have a near-death experience. Tell us, what was that all about?
Yeah, I got to decide which one we're talking about, because there was like 3 of them. I think the one that comes to mind, I think that people want to hear about the most, it seems like, is I was in a place of transition. I call it one of my conversion stories. I grew up as in a Christian household. My mom and my grandmother were very what's the word for that? They were Episcopalian, and they were really, really serious about it. Very, very religious people. And they come from the Virgin Islands and Cuba and Panama, so that played a part in their sternness about it. But being a part of that, I didn't get it. I didn't feel anything from it. It was so ritualistic and so kind of rigid that I didn't really get anything from it. No feeling, no emotion. So, being a young kid in New York City without a father, those guys are always easy targets every time. Even the girls that don't have a father are too. I'm not discounting them, but speaking to the young men that came where I came from, they were always easy targets for gangs and cults and stuff. And Islam kind of came knocking at my door, and they offered brotherhood and fatherhood, mentorship and whatnot. Long story short, I gotta make it real short because it's long. So really short, it didn't work out the way it was offered. What was offered to me wasn't exactly what I got. More like a bait and switch for me. And I was in between, step away from that and kind of ask some questions like, what's my life about? What's my purpose? Why am I here? And some young men, I assume they were anyways, we were a victim of an armed robbery, a friend of mine and myself. And the young man, he knows the reputation of the Muslims back in New York, and they had a reputation of sticking together and fighting for each other if need be, in a very demonstrative way, if you know what I mean. So these guys were already scared, but they wanted to rob us. Okay, they thought we had money on us. And my friend was across the street getting robbed, and the guy came up from behind a tree with what I assume was a loaded weapon. He had his finger on the trigger, so I'm assuming it was probably loaded. And he was pointing at my head, probably 3 inches from my face. And his hand was shaking so violently. He had his hand on the trigger. I'm like, man, what are you doing? If you're going to shoot me, just shoot. What is this? So I would, in my mind, I would think of all kind of crazy stuff. I'm like, am I going to go out like this? I'm five houses from my mom's house. Is this how I'm going to go out? This how my story's going to end? So long story short, he was so scared he didn't get all the things that he came for. He was just glad to just get away with what he thought he had. I got on my mom's porch on her stoop, and I said, you know what? God, if you're real, talking to the heavens saying, God, if you're real, I need you to show up. If you're real, show up for me. Showed up for my grandmother, showed up for my mom, but I need you to show up for me. And down the line, he did that. And in 1996, my whole life changed dramatically. Never looked back since. So for me, that near-death opportunity was exactly that. A chance to, this could have been a different story. You could have been on the other side of eternity and not have, accomplished what you were sent to accomplish and not live a fulfilled life. And I'm glad to still be here. And that drives all the work that I'm doing, everything. Those stories like that. That's what it drives. Like, I don't want nobody to be on the other side of eternity like I could have been and not have lived out a life full of purpose. That was my whole goal, the whole engine that drives this thing, man.
That's an amazing story. And I know you say you have others, but when you think what you have been through, I always feel strongly that we are able to draw people through our experiences and how we dealt with those experiences. That experience could have broke you. It could have kept you in a dark space where you didn't live to your fullest potential. At what moment was it like days after, moments after, or months after? Did you start to realize, you know what, there's more left inside of me, and this was just a chapter in my book, but there's so much more I'm going to do?
I wish I could say it was days after, man, but that's not really honest, man. I mean, after I made that decree to the skies, I was just like kind of living on edge every day after that. Like, okay, could it happen again? I'm living in New York. I mean, it's not what people are depicted to be all the time, but there are some dangerous places. And I had to walk through them on a daily basis. Even getting on the subway was a dangerous situation. I mean, working in the city was a dangerous situation. So I was kind of living on the edge the whole time. Like, it's just a day. Am I going to get the headlight response? Am I going to get the answer I need? Or am I too late? So I lived like that for, I probably would say, a good 6-7 years. And an opportunity kind of presented itself for me to move out of state. I was doing music in New York. I was a part of the R&B hip hop scene. It's funny. And we had a record deal with an independent label, the whole 9 yards, and it kind of It didn't work out. We had the album done, all that stuff, but it didn't work out with the company. They were trying to put us on the shelf with some old guys to come back out for their 50th reunion tour. I'm like, how many do you need? Just stay out. But we didn't take it well, so we got a chance to move out of state. And that was probably about 5 or 6 years later, and it kind of gave me a chance to really evaluate some things. And it was kind of a surprise. It kind of just happened. It wasn't like, okay, here's my thing. Honestly, to be real, even after I got that conversion experience in 1996, it was only 3 or 4 years ago that I realized that, you know what? This purpose training that I'm on, it means something. This is helping people. I didn't even see it until like 4 or 5 years ago. So I can't explain that. It doesn't sound like a great story. I can't explain it, but it's the truth though. 4 or 5 years ago, I'm like, you know what? This is all that matters. All the gifts and the talents, all the things that we can do, even myself, speaking for myself, things that I can do, people who are having consultations with me on the side, coaching sessions with me, because I had a coaching business at the time, and they want to know about purpose and what their life is and could be and the potential and stuff. 4 or 5 years ago was when I figured out, how important it was, because my old mentor, he's dearly departed now, but he would always say that, if purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. And I took that to heart. I'm like, okay, am I out here just walking around, just stunting and just doing life and trying to live life like it's golden? Or am I actually doing something of value that means something to somebody other than myself? And it just took me to a place where I had to have some real talk with myself. I need some real conversation with you. And like, you know what? You ain't doing that. Everything you're doing is about you to kind of help fill these voids you got in you. No. So now what I'm trying to do now, hopefully I'm doing it to a good degree. Everything I'm doing, all the projects, all the ventures, they're about uplifting and building somebody else up, building communities, building people individually, collectively, building teams. That's what it's really what's about. It's not really about me as much anymore. I'm a part of it. I drive some of it, but honestly, it's probably the least selfish I've been in my entire life.
When you think about the time you became a stepfather, playing that role, what was some of the most challenging and most rewarding part of building a blended family?
Okay. To be clear, I've never used that word. My daughters don't even know that word to come out of my mouth. It's on the front of that book, but I've never used that word. I was their father from the get-go. I would do all the things that required that. I was at all the recitals. I was at all the daddy-daughter dances. I was doing all of that stuff. Nobody else was, to be clear. One of the biggest things, I think that was the biggest challenge, I'll share that first, is because when you're dealing with visitation, you got children that are kind of almost in a tug of war. They're in one place where they learn certain values, and in another place where they learn the other values. So when they are in each place, they're struggling with who they're supposed to be because of the environment that they're in and what they learn from that environment. So it was rough on them. I think even though my wife and I went through hell and she was here, she owned that. It's true. But I think the biggest thing we were sad about was the impact on them, because they were like puppets in a sense. They couldn't put it all together, understand what was happening, all of the other influences and the voices that were speaking and trying to get them to do things that were against what our household believed in, and then vice versa, kind of just doing this back and forth. They were getting stretched, and it was stressful. It was painful for them, and we had to watch it. One to love them and trying to, give them what we thought was best for them, but they often didn't understand that because it wasn't as fun and as freeing as the other option they were given. So it was hurtful for us to watch them. That was probably the biggest challenge. How they talked to us and dealt with us, those are all things that were par for the course. But we realized that, you know what? This ain't your best. This ain't the best for you. We had to watch them walk out some of that stuff. So that was probably the most painful part. I think the best part was just, I guess I just keep it on me on this one. I think the best part was just getting a chance to do something that I never thought I could do. I mean, not having a father, my only influence with a family, of a full family, was the Cosby Show on NBC. That was my litmus test, my blueprint of what a family looked like. I'm like, I didn't see it. I didn't see it in my neighborhood. There was broken families all through my neighborhood back in New York. And for me, I'm like, okay, I'm putting together a family that's actually doing this. I can't believe it. And I'm a part of this. I mean, as broken as I was and as messed up as I thought I was, I helped to build a family. Don't say it wasn't perfect, but I was a part of that process, and there was no reason why I should even be in it. But I was, by the grace of God. So that was probably the best part for me.
And going to the nonprofit that you run with your wife, Save the Children SC, where you teach financial literacy, reading, and leadership to kids. What is one thing you believe every young person needs to hear when not just going through this organization, but just in regards to life?
I think if I can just say that for any child, regardless of their age, if they're at of age of any kind of understanding, I would say that you're worth more. I mean, I spent so much time in my life listening to the cues that we got from the outside, external cues from media and from the world around us, people saying what they thought my community was worth, what they thought my family was worth because of the kind of income, the median income that we had in our household. They thought they decided what kind of house we can have or what kind of job we can have. I'm like, you're worth more than that. These people are talking about things from the outside. They don't know you. They don't know your life. And most of all, they probably don't know God either, so they don't know your potential. They don't know who the DNA inside of you, what you can accomplish, the greatness that lives inside of you. All the kings and queens that are out here listening to us. They don't know all of that stuff. So all they're doing is talking about what they know from their perspective, and it's limited. So for me, the outstanding message is, you're worth more. I know it looks like, people have decided for you. Your circumstances, how you live, may have an impact on how you think about yourself, who you see in the mirror, but you're worth more than that. You're greater than that. If I can come out of the mud, is that cool for me to say that? If I can come out of the mud and make something of my life that I think I'm not even done yet. I feel like it's just exponentially better than I have in my entire life. If I can do that, coming out of the mud in New York, I know anybody that's listening can do the same thing.
Once again,
one day for the children, for the next generation.
Once again, listen to Unfiltered Radio and watching us online. And when you think about the impact that you're leaving, not just with your ministry, not just with your podcast, not just with your media company. By the way, go to Buzzsprout and look up They Call Me Mista Yu and check out his show. When you think about the impact that you're being able to make with all these different platforms, you're addressing hard truths, but also offering compassion with a ministry feel to it. How do you see that continuing as you're building the platform to reach even further out there in the world?
I hope it's doing well so far. I know I'm in a quiet chase, and I'm okay with that. I think one of the things that I want to do is just be a source of encouragement for people. I mean, we can get into deeper conversations about coaching and life. I have opportunity available for people to do that if they want to. I think, but for the most part, when I go on social, 9 out of every 10 posts that I see, they trash. They don't hold any value. They just are there to be incendiary, or they're there to point you to somebody else's website, or they're just there just because people want to get engagement. So they want to talk about something they think was going to incite the kind of emotion that get people to engage, positive or negative. When I post stuff about encouragement and faith and survival and serving others, a lot of times they may fall flat because the masses don't seem to want that, or the algorithm won't allow it to go through. You can decide which one it is or both. But, for me, I'm like, this is my life. When I talk about on the podcast, when I talk about on guest spots like this, when I talk about on any of the shows that we do, or any of the books that I write, or any of the posts that I put out there, this is just my life on pages. I'm just saying, people, you know what? All the excuses they're gone. If you know my whole story, you know that the excuses are gone. You can't say that you can't make a life for yourself. You can't say that you can't do better. You can't say that you can't rise above the criticism and all the other things that try to hold most folks back. I look in the mirror and I'm not excuses. I can't even say, you know what? You know better. You got to do better because you've been You've been in the mud. You've been in the worst possible places, and you're still here. You know, so that's my story to people. That's my encouragement for folks. You got excuses. If you get out of your room and get out of your mom's basement and get out of the social media and look at the lives of other people, you see that your life is not quite as bad as you made it out to be. And opportunities are not as limited as you think they are. You can do anything. You got that ability inside. You got greatness inside. You can do anything you put your mind to if you really want to have that. That's the question. Do you want it?
Well, that's a Cliff mic drop hanger right there. I can drop the mic right there and just exit because I think that's the key. How bad do you want it? And I know you interview some CEOs and big athletes and people on your show, so I already know you know the real sauce. And I want to echo what you said. Until you actually want it, you're not going to get it. And if you're not going to get it, you're going to stay in the same place. So with that said, I know we're flat out of time, but if people want to check you out and follow what you're doing, what's the best way they can stay in touch with Mr. Yu?
Sure, man. Probably the best route is they call me Mr. Yu.buzzsprout.com. Gives you access to all the episodes from the very beginning, from October 2020. All the episodes we've ever done. Access to me, I guess you can't really send a message there, but there's a lot of ways you can reach out to me by email and stuff. Love to have some chats with some folks. I'm still doing free coaching consultations here and there, but you know, that's available as well. And just all of the information on our YouTube channel, all of our socials. If you use social to connect with folks, love to connect with you there and just give you a chance to kind of hear what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. I believe if you want to be a part of it, support it in any way, opportunities are there. So that's probably the best route. They call me Mr. Yu.buzzsprout.com. Best way to get me on all of the social links and all of our episodes as well.
Well, we'll have to definitely get you back on because I feel like we started this like 3 minutes ago. I can't believe it's 27. That's crazy.
Me either.
It started, but like always,
time flies when you're having fun, man.
Appreciate your time today, man.
Same here, brother. Thank you, man.